Sometimes life throws you a curveball so hard, it shatters everything you thought you knew about your own family. What if I told you a simple car seat, a front passenger seat, could unravel years of trust, spark a war with your ex, and ultimately drive both your children right out of your life? Because that's exactly what happened to me. And it all started with a car that wasn't even mine, but somehow it ended up destroying everything. My name's Sarah, I'm 42, and for years my two boys, Ryan, who's 17, and Cole, 15, have lived with me since their dad and I divorced. Their dad? He's the fun dad, the one who showers them with gifts and skips the rules. Me, I'm the one wrestling with school schedules, dishing out discipline, making appointments, paying the bills. I handle all the real-life stuff. And that difference, that fundamental gap in parenting styles, became a gaping chasm in our family. A few months back, for Ryan's birthday, his dad pulled a fast one. He bought Ryan a brand new car. Now, I didn't chip in financially, but Ryan lives under my roof. I pay for everything else in his life. So, for me, the understanding was clear. It's his to use, yes, but he's a minor, and there are still expectations that come with living in my household. Driving a car parked in my driveway. Almost immediately, this car became a problem. And the problem had a name. Ava. Ryan's girlfriend. From the moment they started dating, about 6 months ago, Ava staked her claim on the front passenger seat like it was her personal throne. I noticed it right away, but I didn't say anything at first. What truly bothered me wasn't just that she sat there, but the sheer automatic nature of it, as if no one else even existed. If Cole was in the car, Ryan would tell him to move to the back. Not ask, tell. And if I was riding with them, same deal. Ava up front, me in the back. I wasn't quiet about it. I told Ryan multiple times how rude I found it. I explained very clearly that in my family, adults don't get relegated to the back seat so a teenager can claim the front. That's not how I was raised, and it's not how I raised my kids. Ryan knew this. Ava knew this. I was never subtle. But Ava doesn't argue. She just does. She'd slide into that front seat, buckle up, pop in her headphones, and stare straight ahead, as if the whole issue was irrelevant to her. That smug common difference? It drove me absolutely insane. Worse than any open disrespect. There were other things, too. Walking into my house without a hello, grabbing food without asking, correcting my pronunciation of her last name in front of my sister. None of it was explosive, but it was a drip of disrespect. And every single time I brought something up, Ryan acted like I was nitpicking his girlfriend. The day everything blew up started normally enough. Ryan and Ava were heading out to run errands near the mall. I had returns, groceries, a few things I couldn't get locally. It was on their way. I asked if I could catch a ride and get dropped off, picked up later. Ryan said yes. We walked out to the driveway. Ryan unlocked the car. I, naturally, went for the front passenger seat. It felt normal. It felt right. Then Ryan's voice, sharp. Mom, you need to move. Ava sits there. My stomach dropped. I looked at him, then at Ava, who was standing there, watching, waiting for me to cave. I stood my ground. No, I said, my voice calmer than I felt. I'm not sitting in the back seat while your girlfriend takes the front. We've talked about this. Ryan's face flushed. He got irritated fast. You're making this awkward. This is how we always do it. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal to me, I shot back. I'm not going to be treated like an afterthought in my own household. Instead of resolving it, Ryan let out a dramatic sigh. Then, he did something I still can't quite believe. He got out of his car, walked around to Ava and handed her the keys. They then got into her car instead. Ava practically dove into the front seat before I could even process what was happening. They locked the doors. I stood there for a second, absolutely floored, humiliated. My own son locked me out. Ava rolled the window down, a smirk playing on her lips, and said, "If you still want to come, you can sit in the back." That comment, that look, it wasn't just annoyance anymore. It was a cold, searing humiliation. I'd never felt so utterly dismissed by my own child. I got into the back seat because I refused to make a full-blown scene in the driveway. But the entire ride was a suffocating silence, thick with tension. Ryan muttered about how I'd embarrassed him. Ava stared out the window, a picture of angelic inconvenience. About 10 minutes in, I'd had enough. "Pull over, Ryan," I commanded. He did. I reached forward, my hand shaking slightly, and I took his car keys right off the ring. "You will not be driving my household's car if you cannot show basic respect," I told him. I didn't insult Ava. I just said he could have the keys back later, but not then. Ryan absolutely lost it. Ava crossed her arms, refusing even to look at me. They dropped me off at the mall in silence. As I walked away from that car, a heavy mix of anger and loneliness settled over me. I sat there with my coffee, watching family's other teenagers, wondering how I'd ended up feeling like such an outsider to my own kid. I replayed Ava's words, the locked doors, that dismissive tone. I figured Ryan would cool off. He always did. I assumed he'd come back for me. I was wrong. An hour passed. I texted. No reply. Another 10 minutes, I called. Straight to voicemail. That's when the real unease kicked in. Ryan doesn't ignore his phone. This was a statement. As I sat there, a chilling thought started to form. This wasn't just about a car seat anymore. This was about Ryan deciding he didn't have to listen to me at all if he didn't like what I said. Then my phone rang. It was Cole, my younger son. His voice was shaky. He asked where I was, then told me Ryan and Ava were at the house. Ryan had used a spare key his dad gave him and driven straight home. Cole said they were in Ryan's room, stuffing clothes into bags. His gaming console was gone. Backpack, shoes, chargers, anything easy to grab. Cole asked me, "Mom, is Ryan really moving out?" I told him to stay out of the way, not to argue. I raced home. The whole drive, all I could think was, this has gone so far past a stupid seat. When I got there, Ryan was gone. His room looked like someone hit fast forward on a breakup. Closet, half empty. Desk bare. His car was gone from the driveway. On the kitchen counter, a note. One sentence, scrawled quickly. "I'm going to stay with Dad because you don't respect me." I felt a burning mix of anger and insult. I read it twice, then left it there, a silent accusation. 20 minutes later, my ex called. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't ask for my side. He launched straight into a tirade, telling me I had no right to take Ryan's car keys, that the car was legally his, not mine. He said if I didn't return the keys by the end of the day, he'd involve the police. I tried to explain that Ryan was a minor, that it was a household car, that taking keys as a consequence wasn't theft. He wasn't interested. He said Ryan had told him everything and I'd crossed a line. I told him Ryan hadn't told him everything. I laid out the front seat issue, the locked doors, the pattern of disrespect. He dismissed it all as petty. Petty. Expecting your child to treat you like a person is petty? 2. Avoid an unnecessary spectacle with the police. I returned the keys that evening. Ryan stayed at his dad's. He hasn't come back since. Cole, my sweet Cole, he was angry in a quieter way. He told me I should have just let Ava sit in the front. But then he admitted he was tired of being treated like background noise whenever Ava was around. He said Ryan had changed, becoming more entitled, more dismissive. Some of my friends thought I should have let it go. Others backed me up. But I wasn't apologizing to Ava. I wasn't apologizing to Ryan for expecting respect. I didn't kick him out. He chose to pack up and go because he didn't like being told he couldn't override me in my own home. I miss my son. I still do. But I refused to pretend this was just about a car seat. It was about how comfortable he'd become in dismissing me. After that, things got even worse. The comments I got were brutal. So many people calling me the asshole, saying I was obsessed with control, that I wanted submission, not respect, that I drove my son away. Some said I was just mad he chose his girlfriend over me. Others said my ex was the real problem, buying influence, setting Ryan up for this. I even consulted a lawyer, just to understand my rights. Turns out, while I couldn't confiscate the car indefinitely, I wasn't powerless either. That conversation changed my perspective. Ryan stayed with his dad for a few weeks. His school called me because I'm still his primary parent. Attendance slipping, missed assignments. I forwarded everything to his father. I refused to clean up messes I didn't create. Eventually, Ryan reached out. Not an apology, not asking how I was. Just asking if he could come home. If we could stop fighting. I told him no. Not like that. I told him if he wanted to come back, there were conditions. Not negotiations. Conditions. First, he had to apologize to me. Not for dating Ava. Not for wanting her in the front seat. But for locking me out, publicly dismissing me and packing up and leaving instead of dealing with conflict like a near adult. He didn't like it, but after a few days he did. It wasn't warm, but it was clear. I accepted it. Then I told him the second condition. Ava owed me an apology too. That's where everything stalled. I wasn't asking her to grovel. Just an acknowledgement that her behavior, especially that comment at the car window, was disrespectful. Ryan argued I was dragging her into it. I reminded him she was already in it. She inserted herself. Instead of an apology, I got a text from Ava. "Sorry if I made you uncomfortable." And I didn't realize there were so many rules. Passive. Defensive. It told me everything I needed to know. I told Ryan that wasn't acceptable. I wasn't playing word games. He accused me of trying to control his relationship. I told him I was controlling my household. I laid out new rules, crystal clear. No one, automatically gets the front seat in a family car. Parents, grandparents, family members are not pushed aside for someone's girlfriend. If Ryan drives a vehicle kept at my house, these expectations apply. If he didn't like it, he didn't drive from my driveway. Ryan said it wasn't fair because the car was a gift. I told him gifts don't exist in a vacuum. If it's parked at my house, insured with family involvement, used by a minor, then it affects the family. Around this time, we had a family event at my sister's. Ryan and Ava showed up. My sister offered to drive a few of us to grab food. Ava, naturally, went straight for the front seat. Before I could say a word, my sister looked at her and said, "Honey, you'll need to sit in the back. I'm sitting up front." Ryan got embarrassed and angry. Ava looked stunned. They left early. Ryan later accused me of poisoning my family against Ava. I hadn't said a word. Other adults simply don't tolerate that behavior either. I stopped riding with Ryan entirely. I stopped asking for rides. I stopped letting him drive Cole anywhere. Cole now rides with me, or not at all. That solved a lot of the day-to-day friction, but it didn't fix the bigger issue. A few weeks later, before Ryan even turned 18, he moved out again. This time not to his dad's. He got a part-time job, pooled money with a friend, and rented a small place. His father helped him sign paperwork. Ava was involved too. 2 teenagers playing house. He didn't tell me in advance. I found out after the fact. Since then he's been happy. According to my ex, he talks to his father regularly. He does not talk to me. I've reached out. I've asked him to come by. I've asked him to talk. Most of the time, I don't even get a response. I told him that if he wasn't planning to come home, I would convert his room into an office. He didn't reply. What hurts more than I ever expected is what's happening with Cole. I was so focused on Ryan's chaos that I didn't realize how much my younger son was pulling away. He's quieter, spends more time alone. I can see now that he felt invisible for a long time. I own that. I dropped the ball there. But I was one person trying to manage 2 disrespectful teenagers and a co-parent who undermined me at every turn. I didn't see how badly things were drifting until Ryan was already gone. I don't regret my expectations. I don't regret demanding respect. But I do regret being blindsided by how fast my son decided to detach instead of dealing with conflict. I don't believe cutting me out entirely is reasonable. And I don't believe his father encouraging independence he can't financially sustain is responsible. I have every right to care where he's going, who he's with, and what choices he's making when those choices affect my household and my younger child. My ex bought a car he can't fully support long-term and handed it to a teenager who wasn't ready for that level of independence. Now Ryan thinks he's grown, living with another teenager, barely scraping by, and refusing to speak to his mother. I want my son back, not under my thumb, back in my life, talking to me, answering messages, acknowledging that I still exist and still matter. I don't think that makes me unreasonable. But then the final blow. A few months later, Ryan had a medical emergency. Not life-threatening, but serious enough for the hospital to call me. I was still his emergency contact. His father was out of town. Ava was there, and so were her parents. I went. I handled paperwork, spoke to nurses, waited. I didn't bring up the past. I didn't say, "I told you so." I showed up because I'm his mother. Ryan was polite but distant. He thanked me. That was it. What truly stood out weren't my sons. It was Ava's parents. They barely acknowledged me. A week later, I found out why. Ava's parents contacted me directly. They wanted to clear the air. They said Ryan had been under stress, trying to be independent, and maybe I needed to loosen my grip. They framed it as a misunderstanding. I shut that down immediately. I told them I don't co-parent with strangers. I don't negotiate household expectations with my son's girlfriend's parents. Whatever version of events they heard it from teenagers who have been undermining me for years. I wasn't interested in a group meeting to validate that narrative. They didn't like that. And Ryan? He sided with them. Around the same time, Ryan's living situation stabilized. Ava's parents helped him get a more consistent part-time job through someone they knew. They helped him with rides and scheduling. He started paying rent more reliably. From the outside, it looked like he was making it work. What no one seems willing to say out loud is that he didn't do it alone. He didn't bootstrap his way into independence. He was propped up, just not by me. Then Cole imploded. He started skipping assignments. Snapped at a teacher. I got called in for a meeting and realized I had completely misread how much this entire mess had affected him. I tried to course correct. I spent more time with him. Backed off conversations about Ryan. I thought we were rebuilding something. I was wrong. Cole started spending more time with his brother. First weekends, then longer stretches. Eventually, he asked if he could move in with Ryan for a while. I didn't fight him. I asked him why. He said he felt like everything at home revolved around conflict. And at Ryan's place, things felt lighter. He said Ryan understood him. He said I was always tense. He moved out 2 weeks later. I don't think people understand what that does to a parent. One child cutting you off is devastating. 2 feels like erasure. Ryan turned 18 shortly after. There was a small celebration. His father was there. Ava was there. Ava's parents were there. I wasn't invited. No one even told me directly. That's when something in me snapped. I tried therapy after that. Everyone kept saying I needed to process and reflect. I went to a few sessions. What I got was a stranger trying to reframe everything as my failure. I stopped going. I'm tired of being told that expecting basic respect makes me the problem. What the hell is wrong with the people around me? My ex buys a car he can't fully support, hands it to a teenager, then acts shocked when that teenager believes he's untouchable. Ava's parents step in like they're saving some poor, oppressed kid without once questioning the version they were fed. And my sons? They decide that the parent who enforced expectations is disposable. I won't lie. There are days I look at that car and feel pure. unadulterated rage. That stupid car detonated my family. I want it gone. I want my ex to pay for what he set in motion. He didn't just give Ryan a vehicle. He gave him an exit and told him it was freedom. And I still don't understand Cole. I never imagined he would leave me, too. I never thought he would align himself with the same dynamic that sidelined him for months. That betrayal hurts more than Ryan's defiance because Cole knew what it felt like to be pushed aside. I've made a decision and people won't like it. I'm done chasing. I will not attend Ryan's graduation. I will not attend a wedding I'm not wanted at. I will not show up later, pretending nothing happened. When I was discarded the moment I became inconvenient. If Ryan has children someday, he can explain to them why their grandmother isn't around. That will be his responsibility, not mine. People keep telling me this is final, that I'll regret it. I don't think they understand how much damage has already been done. Relationships don't heal when one side is expected to swallow everything and smile. Teenage relationships don't last forever. Ava won't be there forever. When that ends, and it will, Ryan will eventually realize who actually showed up when things weren't easy. He'll understand the difference between indulgence and care. That day isn't today. Until then, I'm stepping back. I didn't abandon my children. They walked away from me, and I'm done contorting myself to prove that expecting respect was an abuse. If they come back someday with real accountability, I may forgive them. Until then, I'm done explaining myself. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to choose between your self-respect and holding on to a relationship that's constantly hurting you? Tell me what you think. I really want to know. Second story, what if the person you thought was your soulmate, the one you'd do anything for, told you point blank they wouldn't be there for you when you needed them most? It's a question I never thought I'd have to ask myself, especially not after a car accident that left me facing months of vulnerability. My world had just been flipped upside down. I'm 32, and a serious car accident means I'll be leaving the hospital soon, but facing a long, arduous rehabilitation. No permanent damage, thank God, but for the first few months, I'll need help with basic things. I've been in a relationship with my amazing girlfriend, who's 30 for 5 years now, but we don't live together. My mother came to visit me in the hospital, and she asked, gently, if I wanted her to move in, or if my girlfriend would step up. In my head, the answer was obvious. My girlfriend. Of course. I had this beautiful, almost mythical image in my mind, rooted in my childhood. When I was 12, my father had a workplace accident, and my mother became his rock. She cared for him with unwavering devotion. That memory, that profound act of love, had shaped my idea of commitment. I was clinging to it, imagining this experience could actually strengthen our relationship, help me cope with what I knew would be humiliating and difficult months. I truly believe this was her chance to show that same kind of deep, unconditional care. So, I talked to her, assuming she'd move in for the 6 to 8 months it would take for me to regain my independence. Her response? Her words hit me like a physical blow. She was very clear. She would not move in. She would not help me in the way I was expecting. My heart sank. My entire idealized vision crashed down around me. Her plan? She would pay for a professional carer for me, and she would visit often so we could spend time together. That way we could still connect, even if I couldn't go out. It was quite shocking to hear her say she'd take care of me, just in her own way, and if I wasn't okay with that, I should ask my mother instead. There are cultural factors, too. I'm American. Her family has roots all over the world, Italian and Portuguese via Brazil on her mother's side, Dutch and Spanish from her father's side. She was born in Brazil, lived in France, then the UK. We've navigated many cultural differences before, and I wondered if this was just another one. But here's the thing, there was no argument. It's hard to argue with her. She's practically the Dalai Lama's daughter. She rarely loses her patience, and she's incredibly articulate. She simply laid out the options and told me to decide. Saying I was unhappy would be an understatement. But what she proposed did make logical sense, and that's what made me question myself. Was I being an idiot for being upset? The internet's comments confirmed it. I was an idiot. A huge, self-centered idiot. My idealized memory was absurd, my expectations selfish. My girlfriend, they said, was a keeper. She knew her limits, communicated clearly, and came up with a good plan. It forced me to really look at our relationship. I love my girlfriend. I would honestly do anything for her, and I know she's the one. We're not married because she's not interested in it. When I brought it up early on, she said marriage meant nothing to her, wouldn't make her more or less committed. She has very clear boundaries. The idea of buying a huge diamond, her showing it off to friends, that was my silly, naive fantasy. I eventually realized I didn't actually have a strong desire for marriage. I just thought it was the next step that a woman expects. Living together? I'd suggested that too. During lockdown, I expected her to move in, but she ended up taking in a friend with no family and then her own mother from Brazil to manage her co-denier antics. After the pandemic, we talked about it again. She said she'd be willing, but we'd need a new place, and she wanted separate bedrooms. She loves her own space, organized her way. She even said that when she wanted to be alone, she'd spend a few days in a hotel. Some of these things seemed strange to me, but nothing truly outrageous, and I agreed. We were actually looking for a place before my accident. As for my devotion to her, yes, I would do anything. She's traveled the world, never staying more than 6 months in one place before the pandemic. I know this isn't her natural state. Eventually, she'll want to move again, maybe to another city, another country. I know it will happen, and I am ready to pack my bags and follow her. If tomorrow she tells me she wants to move to China, I'll be looking for plane tickets and a new physical therapist. And my expectation that she'd drop everything to take care of me? That wasn't quite it. I wouldn't need that much help, or for that long. I can't do much physically yet, and I need help getting around, but I can manage my personal hygiene. She works, but she doesn't have to. She has so many projects, it's hard to keep up. She runs a hugely successful SEO content agency. She's developing a crypto project. She has immense freedom. Some days she spends watching Netflix, saying she doesn't feel like working, leaving her employees to figure it out. Other days, she's frantic with online meetings. She could easily balance work with caring for me, or simply not work at all, and it wouldn't impact her finances. We've never combined finances, so I don't really know how much she makes, but I always pay for everything because I think it's my responsibility as a man. Honestly, I think she makes a lot more than I do. She pays for her cousin's college tuition, retired her mother at 40, and sends money to her grandma. My idealization blinded me to the practicalities. I probably weigh twice what she does. She would literally struggle to lift me. And her offer to pay for a carer? I initially didn't see it as a generous gesture. She's very detached from money. She has a cleaner and a cook. She sees paying people to do things as more efficient than doing them herself. So, to me, it didn't feel like a sacrifice or a demonstration of love. But for those who said she's selfish or doesn't care about me because she didn't offer to care for me my way, you are way off. She is generous, kind, and the most understanding, empathetic person I know. The kind of person who, when a waiter messes up her order, will accept it so it doesn't get taken out of his paycheck. When she heard a distant cousin had dropped out of law school because she couldn't afford it, my girlfriend, without hesitation, offered to pay her tuition. They hadn't spoken since childhood. Last year, my younger brother had a really hard time. He ended up sleeping on my couch for almost a year. He got scammed, lost his job, spiraled into depression. I honestly don't think he would have climbed out of that hole if it weren't for my girlfriend. She came over every day and played PlayStation with him for hours. I was home, but I had to work. I didn't know how to help him. Sometimes they'd sit in silence. Other times they'd talk for hours. When he stopped showering, she told him his stink was messing up her game, and his wins didn't count because he was cheating. After a few invalid wins because of the smell, he started showering again. She managed to get him to eat even when he didn't want to, cooking comfort foods, especially desserts. My brother ate mostly out of politeness at first. She helped him see that losing his job wasn't the end of the world because he hated it anyway. She helped him accept that getting scammed was just a stupid mistake, and everyone makes them. Little by little, he started getting back on his feet. He went back to studying, switched fields, got a job he actually likes. At one point, he relapsed and didn't want to take the meds his psychiatrist prescribed. My girlfriend looked at him, absolutely serious, and said she'd given him the chance to heal on his own, but it wasn't optional anymore. If he didn't take the medication himself, she was going to treat him like her dogs and shove the pill down his throat. He's my younger brother, but he's a huge gym guy. It was like a rabbit challenging a bear. But he took the meds and only stopped when the psychiatrist approved it. She didn't just fix him. She put him back together. I never asked her to. She took the initiative, and I couldn't be more grateful. How could I ever call someone like that selfish? How could I ever think she didn't care about me? My irritation about the care idea wasn't because I thought she didn't care. It was because I was still stuck in my own narrow, idealized vision of what care should look like. I talked to her again. I accepted the carer she suggested. And I should clarify, she didn't just offer to pay. She offered to organize everything related to my recovery. Interviewing carers, choosing the best one, organizing meals and groceries, deciding who will take me to rehab. So I can basically just be an invalid being taken care of. She also said she can't commit to taking me to rehab for the first 2 months because she just signed a new client and her schedule is insane. But she said if she gets too busy, she could work from my place on some days. I'm still not completely happy, not completely free of that sting. But I've accepted that I was the arsehole. I'm just going to let things play out. Maybe I'll come back in a few months to share how it went. Yes, she's too good for me. And maybe, just maybe, I'm finally starting to understand what real love looks like beyond my childhood dreams. Have you ever had your perspective on love completely flipped upside down? What did you learn about your partner, or even yourself, when expectations met reality? Let me know in the comments below.